What
What's
up?
going on? What's up, guys? How you doing?
Chilling.
Malignaggi, how you doing, paisano?
All right. What's going on,
Is
guys?
that Paulie?
Yeah, what's up? What's up?
What
What's up,
boy?
James? What's up,
Yeah.
Tim? How you guys doing?
What's happening with you?
Paul, you
All right.
seem very relaxed.
Very
Yeah,
relaxed.
well,
Always
I'm on my,
relaxed.
I'm
Nah, fight.
on my, I'm on my couch.
Good for you. Good for you.
What he's up? What he's up to?
Oh, chilling. Talking about their fight that you and me are going to be commentating.
Nice, nice. So
Yeah.
where in Mexico is this fight?
I have no idea.
It's in Agua Caliente.
Aguas.
Agua
I,
Caliente.
oh, okay. All right. That's Baja California.
No,
Where?
no, no. It's in the middle. It's in the middle of the map. Down in
Oh, damn, that's
Mexico.
far.
It's
Oh,
a
you
beautiful. It's a
motherfuckers put it out
beautiful
there.
city.
You guys move far.
Hey, man. Hey, me
Yeah.
and James don't play. We don't play. We know what's up.
Yeah, that's it. You guys went down there.
That should be deep, right?
Hey,
Yeah.
it's deep in the cut, but it's a beautiful city, man. It's more Aztec and Mayan influence.
Ruins? Ruins?
Yes, yes,
Oh,
Oh,
cool,
it is?
cool.
yes. Very nice, very
Hmm.
beautiful. A friend of
I look
mine,
forward to seeing it. Man. Cool.
his family is from that part of Mexico.
Awesome. I look forward to seeing it,
Yeah,
man. That's cool.
Yeah.
yeah.
Paulie, what's up? You got this fight coming up, huh?
Yeah, next week.
Who you
We
who
fighting
you
that.
fight?
I'm finding a TikTok guy, Corey B. The,
Man,
the,
TikTok.
you better represent the fight.
Yo, it's funny
You
because
better
it's
rep.
funny because it's funny. I'm not even gonna lie. I train. I've just been doing some jogging. I didn't train any at all until today, and I was doing some sparring today. I was doing some sparring today, and I always, when guys weren't as good as me, I always used to try to copy James. I couldn't do what James did against good fighters. I wasn't good enough at it to do that little rolls on the inside. But against like lesser fighters, I would practice it and do it good. So I was sparring like lower level guys today, and I was working on it because I like the mental pressure that brings. You roll right in somebody's face. I
Absolutely.
want to do that. I want to do that to the guy next week. Not even hit him hard because I don't want to put him out of his misery. I want to suffer the whole round. See, and so I want to stay in space and roll and dip onto the body and do all that. I feel like he's on a low enough level that I can copy James and not take the shots. Because I can't do it. I can't do it with James because
Yeah.
I don't know
Hey,
if I can do
crazy James.
but
Hey,
I like to do that
not,
right in his face.
nothing for nothing. James Toney is the master of slipping.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
can't get better than James.
I
yeah, man.
That's just. I don't care what you say, who you are. James
That's the way
Toney.
you fight on the inside, man. I mean, people used to say, "Oh, you got to watch Mexican fighters," and this. I used to watch James Toney for inside fighters, man.
Thank you, man. I
That was
appreciate that.
man. That
I
was
appreciate it.
shit, man.
James, is
That
there any
was unbelievable to watch.
that you looked up to, James, that you kind of based a little bit of your style
I
from?
used to watch. You know which fight I used to watch at James? I watched about two fights a lot. I used to watch Vasily Girov, the Girov fight, and I used to watch the first Mike McCallum fight. The first
Yeah.
Mike. I used to
They
listen.
robbed me. They robbed me.
Yeah, they robbed. It was a draw, and I remember the first Mike McCallum fight is two highly skilled guys with James' energy. You can see who wins a fight. But you beat him in the rematch, right, James? You beat him in the
Yeah.
rematch.
Both
Yeah.
Yeah.
fights.
But I remember there's just so much skill in that fight. I used to love watching that fight because
Yeah.
it's just two like super skilled guys, and there's so much depth to what you're watching. The naked eye, if you don't have an educated eye, doesn't catch the amount of levels that
What was that, James?
He had the most skill of any fighter I ever fought.
yeah,
The most
McCallum.
skill, period.
yeah, yeah,
James, was there
really
any
unappreciated.
James, was there anybody who influenced you?
Yeah, Tommy Hearns, my idol right there. Tommy Hearns, Sherry Robinson, as a child, Archie Moore, all those who went.
But none of those guys have kind of defense.
But if you look at everything as a child did, yes, he did.
Yeah,
As a child, he invented the shoulder roll.
just perfected it.
I, I, I just perfected it. Made it turn defense into offense.
Yeah. Wow. Corey, I was almost going to go down to Gleason's to watch that Corey today. I came this close to going down. I didn't end up. I'm just
What were you gonna do? What were you gonna do? Punk him? Don't make sure he gets to the fight. Don't prevent him from getting to the fight.
Nah, I just wanted to see. I just wanted to see, like, get a feel for, because none of us has seen what he has at all.
No, and next week you're not really gonna see what he has either.
Sorry, man.
Nah, it's crazy. Yeah, I mean, it's insane. So you're not gonna go hard on him, Paulie?
I want to just teach him what boxing is. If you go in there and just smash somebody, they don't get the full effect. I feel like if you can go in there and box me, and I can get in your face and keep you there long enough to make you keep suffering for a duration as long as you can take it, I feel like like the kids I was boxing today, for example, they weren't that out of my level. I was doing James stuff on them. When you're doing it, when you can do what James does, to a guy who's of 11. Look, only James could do it to world class fighters. But when you could do it to a guy who's below you, like, they suffer, bro, because you're in their face. You're in their face, rolling, digging the body, just bumping them, just rolling around, and you're constantly in their face. So they're just mentally getting broken and tired, even without you beating them up terribly. And it's just suffering.
It's kind of like what you said about Conor McGregor, right? You said that when you would put that.
It's funny you say that. It's funny you say that because that's a lot of what I employed in the McGregor sparring I did because I wasn't in great shape, so I kind of had to do a way to not burn energy to put him in his face and break him. But what do you do when I would get inside that close? He would just hold. All you do is when I was that close, he would just hold.
That kind of style, James, you know better than anybody. That gives you a real edge because you're wearing people down emotionally and physically, because you're just on them.
Exactly.
Well, me too.
And it conserves energy too because you're in his face. James, I heard you didn't like to run. You just sparred. On.
Oh man, I ran early in the morning, but hey, it was preferred to me, but I had to do it. I did, got it done, and it was a pain in the ass, long. It was 8 long miles, 8 slow long miles.
Slow.
It don't matter how fast you go, as long as you get done.
It doesn't matter how fast you run, how far you run, as long as you get it done.
Yeah, as long as you get it done, it's right. Right.
But what happened, Bill Miller? I had to make sure I had every mile done. 8 miles, we're doing it every day. I like Tommy Hearns and everybody else comes to who's that train and run that far.
Yo, James, we spoke with Iran Barkley like 2 days ago. Didn't you say he was one of the hardest punchers you ever got in there with?
Who?
Barkley.
No. Murray Sosa.
Was Barkley one of them?
Barkley wasn't close. He didn't touch me.
I stand.
Yo, a lot of people say that about Murky Sosa, bro.
Yeah,
it's
Roy.
Crazy.
Hey, Murky Sosa can punch. The guy
Murky
can punch. Yes, he can.
Roy Jones.
He just didn't have a great chin, right? He just didn't have a great chin.
I dropped it 3 times.
Yo, you know what's funny? Marky Sosa was training for a couple. When I first started boxing, like probably late '90s, maybe even early 2000s, Murky Sosa was back in Lisa's gym. He was training. You see him every day, bro. But that guy was a character, bro. That guy was off a little bit though.
Yeah, like you do.
None. He was just
Hey,
like
crazy.
say off the
Crazy.
wall shit, like just randomly like come up. You're in the middle of a conversation, so he just come up to you and he'll tell you some random off the wall shit, like motherfucker, where'd you come from, bro? What are you saying?
Hey, he didn't even know.
But he was a
He
nice
didn't
guy,
even
but
know that.
you could tell he was off. He was a little bit
Nice
off,
guy.
bro. Yeah.
Exactly.
And most of us are most of us a little bit off. Do this sport.
Yeah, it's true.
We can point a lot of fingers at all.
Yeah, I know. I know. Well, that's what I tell people. I said you can't be normal to do this for a living. So there's something a little bit off about you to
Hell
begin with,
no.
and
No, you
and then there's
can't.
different
No, you
levels of
can't
being
not.
off. And you guys notice every boxing gym, every boxing gym has their cast of characters.
Yup.
You guys know every boxing has and then there's like the extreme characters. Every boxing gym has a few of the extreme characters too, bro. Like I know my gym had it, and I know I've been in a few other gyms that had those guys too. It's like, and you talk
Yeah,
about,
me and Marko have one.
and you talk about those guys, like those cast of characters. There's always a handful of characters. Every gym has it. Everybody knows who they are. It's so weird, and everybody remembers it. Like I remember all the weirdos in all the gyms I trained.
Oh yeah. What's his
LA
name?
traffic is the worst.
The
Oh,
worst. The worst.
Besides Russia.
Uh,
Besides,
London is bad too. I never been to
yeah,
Russia, but
London's
London is
bad, but
bad.
Russia takes the cake, man. That's the shit.
Moscow's worse than London traffic.
Moscow.
Man, I never been. I never been.
Yeah, you ain't missing. You're not missing nothing.
Except for traffic.
Seven traffic. Yeah.
Paul,
Huh?
you in Brooklyn now?
No, I'm in Fort Lauderdale. I just came down here. I just got back. I stay here for the whole season. I'm only in New York like for the summer.
Oh.
No, I don't.
Oh,
I don't really stay in New York.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I don't really stay in New York anymore. Nah.
I don't blame you.
Yeah, it's you kind of outgrow it. You get too much of a pain in the ass being up there
Hey,
now, man.
so when you're in Florida, what do you do?
I just kind of chill, bro. You know, I just kind of chill. You know, it's more chill. It's more. I don't know. I got friends here. There's more stuff to do. You know, I just come down here with my girl and just kind of lay back and chill, bro. I'm 40, bro. You know, I'm not looking for the next party anymore. You know.
So
Oh, poor baby, you're 40. Poor baby.
so Paulie, let's say Corey B comes at you hard. You gonna step on the gas a little bit?
Yeah, but if he comes, here's the thing, bro. The more effort you put in, the worse it's gonna be. So you know, I mean, we'll see. You know, like we'll see. If he gets too aggressive, I'm gonna just drop him to the body, bro. I'm gonna drop him body shots. You know, because because the person about an aggressive person who's a novice is they're gonna open up their arms too much and open up their body, so they can be counted to the body and ripped to the body.
For people watching, that Paulie fighting as he just started boxing like 4 months.
Yeah, I think like 6 months ago. Yeah.
What?
Wow.
Yeah.
You're fighting
I
a guy
know.
with 6 months boxing?
Like
Yeah, I don't know, 6, 7 months, something like that. You know, yeah.
it's a little crazy that somebody could think that they could get in the ring.
Well, you know what it is? I get a lot of negative press. I get a lot of negative, like my bad hands, I punch, and I'm old, you know, all this stuff. So I think it gives people, a false sense of reality.
That's because people who don't know boxing don't realize you can't get there with a
But
contender.
who knows boxing? Who knows? Even the people in boxing don't know boxing. You know?
People in boxing don't. The people in boxing
Nah, they don't.
really
They
know
don't.
boxing. True story.
They
Fact.
don't. Yeah, they don't. They don't. You know, they what?
I mean,
Like, you know how you understand? You know when you understand a lot? You're in the gyms every day. None of these media guys are in the gyms every day. If you would get me a person who would be in the gyms every day, you can't just show up on fight night and think you're gonna get it. You got to be in the gyms day in and day out and see the little details of everything
Yup.
to really understand fully how deep this sport is. From a sport level, forget the business. From the sport level, the
Yup.
the intricacies,
I
the
completely
intricacies that
agree
are
with you.
there. And no media does that, because that's the hard part. Being in the gym every day, they don't even have to do the workouts. We do the workouts, but they don't. They still don't want to be in the gyms every day. They'd rather just show up on fight night from their press seat and just watch the fight and then give their opinion. But everybody can do that. Just because you sat ringside at a bunch of fights, you're no better than the fan who's watching at home,
Yeah.
watching it every weekend. You know what I mean? You're only showing up on fight night, you know? So when you're in the gyms a lot, that really makes you understand it. You know,
So
I'm not even saying you have to do it. I mean, doing it obviously is another level, but if you're in the gyms every day, you know, really observing every day, then you'll get a little bit more.
Yeah. I mean, people don't understand, like, big difference between getting a street
so
fight and boxing. Huge
Yeah,
difference.
of course. Nobody's breaking up a boxing match. A street fight, you know, is getting broken up in 30 seconds. You
But
know, so
I feel like it takes a lot more balls for somebody to know, look, you're signing the contract, you're going to fight date.
oh no, you're stuck. Not only that, a street fight is usually spur of the moment, so you don't have to think about it for 6 months. You know what I mean? Like a boxing match is on your mind, the preparation and everything, and then you don't have the option to for somebody to save you in that way. I mean, you do, the referee, but you really can't afford to because you're on TV, you're in front of a crowd, you're basically risking your reputation on from a global perspective. You know.
That's the shit I hate about the current, like, all the YouTubers is because they think it's just easy and they could go in and do it and they could be successful. And about to
Yeah, yeah. I
go,
mean, it's basically a market for them at this point now. You know, there's pros and cons to the YouTube thing, because they're getting the thing I noticed about the Jake Paul fight. I gotta say, the Jake Paul and Woodley fight. I saw the faces of the crowd did not look like your typical boxing crowd. You know,
no.
and it was full. You know, so if they can bring in another kind of generation into the mix, and they stay okay. If they're just there for the pole fight, okay, you know, no problem. But if bring in this kind of crowd, you know, hopefully they'll appreciate the real fighters as well. You know.
And that's the question along when these guys move on to something.
Yeah, I don't know. I think this whole YouTube phenomenon might be here for a while. Personally,
It's a
like,
fad right now.
it's a fact. Personally, I think these guys should start managing fighters. You know, because if these fighters start managing fighters, or promoting fighters, they can sign a bunch of them, and there'll be so much attention on these fighters, and they can sign real fighters, like out of the amateurs or out of, you know, like sign real prospects, and you can get them so much marketability that way. You know what I'm saying? So personally, I think that would be the way to go. You know, personally, so they don't have to do the fighting because they're kind of lacking in that department. If they start signing real talent and managing them, you know, then start posting about them on their social media. I mean, you're gonna get all their followers who start following these fighters. I mean, you're gonna give instant credibility to real good young fighters, and then boost their careers tremendously.
Yeah. You back, Jeremy? What's going on?
yeah, I just feel like I'm in the dark, man. Nobody can see me. I'm like my pretty face is not pretty in the dark. So I figured rather when I got home and like I'm in LA, so I can get home and like I'm really 5 minutes away from my house. It's gonna take 20.
Hey,
That's just LA in general.
a question for James and Paulie. How do you guys see the Wilder Fury fight going?
So what now?
Wilder Fury. What do you think's gonna happen?
I think Wilder can win because Tyson's been this decade's Buster Douglas, partying, having fun, anything is serious. You see what happened? You see what happened to Buster Douglas? The same thing happened to him.
Okay. What do you think, Paulie?
I,
He,
I think
he's just happy to be here right now. He's just happy to be here.
Mm.
I think Fury stops. I think Fury stops Wilder. I don't think Wilder can fight going backwards. There's some fighters who don't do well going backwards. Some very good fighters, don't do well going backwards.
I mean,
I think
if
Wilder's
Wilder can employ what Malik Scott's been teaching him, then it'll be a different ballgame. But do you guys think, as fighter, former current fighter,
if my aunt had balls, she'd be my uncle, but she doesn't, so she's my aunt.
Yeah.
But when usually, typically, in my history of being in boxing, the fighters there's some very good fighters, by the way, they didn't do well going backwards, and it's just it's a flaw that even if they were excellent fighters, even better fighters than me, they still it was a kryptonite flaw once they got backed up that they couldn't deal with it anymore. Even guys like Julio Cesar Chavez, you backed him up, it was a problem.
right?
My own opponent, Zab Judah, I realized if I can back up Zab, he's a different fighter. He's a different level of fighter. He diminishes. There are certain very good fighters who just completely change when they are backed up consistently, and they just become completely ineffective. I don't know if it's a mental block. I don't know, because I was always the guy who fought going backwards, so I don't know. I can't relate to that particular issue, but I see that Wilder has the same problem, and for me, Fury is gonna stop him again.
I think what Jeremy said was, once Wilder gets hit a few times, he's gonna go back to what he knows. And like I
Yep.
was,
Exactly. But still, by then, Tyson be hurt.
well, I was gonna ask you guys, do you think it's feasible, it's possible to teach a fighter like Wilder, who's fought one way his whole career, a brand new style in just whatever 8 months, whatever it's been? Do you think that's possible?
A lot of patience, man. That would be very hard to do. I don't think it can be done, but God bless him.
You don't be done.
I think a trainer can teach a fighter little nuances. I can say I learned something from all my trainers. Some were better than others, but I feel like I took a little something from all my trainers. Some I took from more than others, but regardless, I still feel like I learned from everybody I had. But it doesn't mean that you're going to change my identity as a fighter. As a matter of fact, if you change my identity as a fighter, you're probably going to make me regress. So I think Wilder can be adjusted a little bit, but I think his identity as a fighter is going to be what it is.
Yeah.
But you can tell the difference between Tyson Fury now, and then he was hungry. Now he's not. Wilder is hungry. He wants it. I mean,
I don't know, man. I saw a post from Fury about 7 weeks ago, and he said, "Turning off my phone. I'll see you guys on Fight Week or something like that." So I mean, if he's turning off his phone 7 weeks out, I mean he's super focused, man.
I think what James is saying, and you guys both can attest to this, when you knock somebody out, clean out, and your head gets big, does that make a fighter sometimes be like, fuck it, I don't need to try?
Yeah, I think that can happen. Of course, I think that's part of the psychology of it. But when I was told the explanation, they asked Tyson Fury, when did you know you were going to knock out Deontay Wilder? And he said round 12 of the first fight. And I thought he was bullshit. I was like, yeah, all right, round 12 of the first fight. But then when he gave his explanation, he said, I was almost out and I was ready to be knocked out, he said. And I had no choice to try to survive, otherwise Wilder was going to stop me. So I had no choice but to fight him off and come forward and fight him off. And when I did that, I saw that I was able to hurt him and bust him up a little bit. I realized that right there. That this guy, you don't fight, you don't box him, you take it to him and back him up. And I told him, and when that whole drum bell rang, we went back to my corner, and I told my corner, look at me, mate, you're going to knock this guy out. Sure enough, that's what happened.
But see, if
And
Wilder
it's
had,
funny.
but see, if Wilder was a skillful fighter, that wouldn't have happened. You feel me?
Yeah, of
But
course, but he's
Wilder,
so big. That's the
by
problem.
all means, Wilder is not a stylish fighter, a boxer. He's a bomber. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he's a
All he
bomber.
goes one way. I'm
Cool,
saying right now,
but he
this
gotta be
time
set to throw those bombs.
with Malik in his corner, when you teach you how to be patient and try to box a little bit more, it's gonna be a different outlook this time.
I think Malik brings a good dimension to Deontay. I
Yeah,
do. I see the work they do, and I think that Malik is very knowledgeable. I think he's always been very knowledgeable, and I think that Wilder can have little nuances where he improves, but I don't think he's serious.
yeah.
I don't think anybody
Hey,
can fear
Paulie,
it.
Paulie, hey,
Yo,
Uncle Paulie, check this out, man, Uncle Paulie. When the fight happens, make sure I get your phone number so I can call you and tell you
all
I
right,
told you
all right,
so.
all right. Sounds good. We'll be back on here after the fight
You
Yeah,
so we
know?
can discuss
we'll talk about it.
Alright,
it. All right. I'm actually supposed to be in LA for that fight. I'm gonna watch you with Patrick.
Are you gonna be
I
in?
bet.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
And so, what do you guys? What do you think about the Canelo Plant fight?
I got a plan fight. I got a plan winning the fight because plan can be a better boxer. The best boxer he's fought. Canelo has fought beside me with it. You know what I'm saying? I think Plant is very good mover, a very good condition. He put his punches together very well. Unlike most of the fight besides Floyd.
Okay,
I,
Paulie.
I don't think anybody gets decisions against Canelo. Even if you beat him, you're gonna get robbed.
I didn't say did I say the decision. I think he gonna stop him.
But stop him. I don't. I, Canelo.
Trust me. Canelo ain't James Toney. You
I
know,
think Caleb
hey,
has tremendous skills.
Paulie, hold on.
Yeah. Go
Canelo is
ahead,
not
champ.
James Toney of the middleweight division. He don't have no
No,
chin like he
no,
can't fight like
no,
me.
No.
So you know
no.
what? So
Okay.
important. So the thing is, anybody can get it. He gonna get it. Anybody can get it but me.
What
I think. Listen, I think Caleb has really good skills. I think he's gonna. I think it's a good fight.
What do you think's gonna?
I think I probably edge Canelo, but I think it's funny because I thought Billy Joe had more skills than Canelo, right? But
Yeah.
when
I did too.
the emotion of the fight presents itself, and you're in that arena, and there's all everybody against you, it's so loud, and you can't hear yourself think. Sometimes those little adrenaline rushes and emotions can make you tight. And if you get tight, and if you're a naturally fluid fighter and you fight tight, all of a sudden your reflexes and your skill and your fluidity is not the same anymore. So
Hey,
I'm very curious to see if Caleb remains that fluid under a very tough atmosphere that he's gonna be. That's my and I'm not saying he can't do it, but
I
it's always a, a little variable that you deal with when you're dealing with a mega fight.
well, it seems like with Canelo, the one thing that always changes is when he hits somebody, and then shit always goes left. Yeah.
Yeah,
You know
yeah.
and you absolutely right about that. But you know what? But you look at the fighters he has been fighting. The Bill Sanders, the Dan Jacobs, everybody but Floyd. You see what Floyd fucked him up.
Yeah.
If Floyd would have taken down all those punches, he would have stopped him.
Yeah. The thing is
I
this,
think,
James. He might not have a James Toney chin, Canelo, but he has a chin because Triple G was catching him clean and
Oh,
nothing.
yeah,
but
yeah.
Triple G also beat him though. He
He did
beat him.
first fight. I thought he beat him too.
He beat them both
Yeah,
fights. I
I
thought.
thought he won both fights.
I thought
I thought Golovkin won. I thought Golovkin won both fights. I thought Triple G won both
But you know,
fights.
hey, it is what it is. Hey, right now Canelo, he's the treat of the day, and everybody liking him. But pretty soon, he's gonna run, if he don't run the platinum business, it may be Charlotte, one of the Charlotte boys. Who knows?
Maybe.
Hey.
I think what's his face? Benavidez has a good shot.
Oh, Baby is a beast. He's
Yeah.
definitely doing. He's definitely
He got a
gonna
good
do.
chin too. That's a nice little fight right there.
He'll do it. He'll do him in.
That's a
But
big,
I'm curious with the Caleb Plant fight though, because I always feel like jabbers and because Canelo's not a very busy fighter, and jabbers give Canelo boxers and jabbers give Canelo problems because they're busier than him and they kind of pick him apart a little bit. I felt even Cotto with his jab gave Canelo more trouble than I anticipated, considering he was a smaller guy, you know? So I feel like Canelo is so inactive in his fights that the jabbers tend to take rounds from him. So I'm curious to see how he deals with Caleb, because Caleb is a slickster with a good jab, right?
yeah.
It's just that once, like you said, once Canelo lands, even on guys like that, the fight tends to change, you know, and the fight goes south from there.
Yeah.
But when he's not able to completely land, I mean, even like Erislan Lara was giving him a lot of problems throughout the fight. So I'm curious.
I thought he would too.
Yep.
I
And that's exactly what I mean. If Canelo is not able to land these big shots on Caleb to kind of change the momentum of the fight, do we get what happens? Do we get robbed? Because we've already seen if Canelo can't land that big shot, all of a sudden he doesn't know how to change the momentum of the fight. He doesn't know how to make right. So and that's the hit on Canelo. He's a good fighter, but
and he can't
everybody has to
back it up.
No.
Yep. And so the thing is, what happens? Do you have another robbery? I mean,
Yep.
do you need like the judges who judge a Canelo fight to be on probation and just have like a security guard watching all three of them and check their scorecard, make sure they're doing the right thing through 6 rounds. The fighters don't have to know the scorecards, but maybe there's a probationary security guard over every judge that should know the scorecards. You know, at every round, just to make sure they're doing the right thing. That to me, you need to come up with something like that. But
that's be hard to do in this day.
Yeah, they're not gonna do. They like to do that. They like the corruption. It's part of the sport.
Yeah. Do you think if Canelo would have fought Floyd, I don't know, 10 years later, and they managed to make it the same catch weight, it would have been the same outcome?
Same outcome. Same.
Paulie,
If they fought 10 times, Floyd will win 10 times.
what's up, Paulie? Reason.
I said if they fought 10 times,
Same.
Canelo and Floyd, they fought 10 times, Floyd will win all 10 fights.
Yeah, I agree with that too. It just, Floyd's old. I mean, you can't, it doesn't count. The guy gets older. You can't make a fight now. I remember it's like, if they fought now. Floyd's 45 years old. What do you want him to fight now for? You know, I'm talking about.
You mentioned it, Paulie. We said that what if they would have fought later, like both fought when they were in
prime for prime
yeah.
Floyd. Prime for prime Floyd.
Floyd still.
Prime for prime Floyd.
I was talking to Buddy McGirt, right, a little while ago, and he said that the only fighter he thought that could have beat Floyd was Vernon Forrest.
Not a chance.
I don't think Vernon. You know what I say? Tommy Hearns. Because Tommy Hearns was such a big welterweight. You gotta understand something about Tommy Hearns. If Tommy Hearns and Ray Leonard fought in a 12-rounder, Tommy Hearns wins that fight. Tommy Hearns in 2 fights with Ray Leonard, in two fights with Ray Leonard, Tommy Hearns won a ton more rounds because he got robbed in the second fight. They gave him a draw. He won that fight. So you gotta understand, Tommy was a very difficult. Tommy was a very difficult guy.
Yeah.
Tommy was a very difficult guy to win rounds against. He's tall, huge welterweight with monster power, so you couldn't just rush him. And he had a terrific jab, so he controlled you at a distance. You could have been better than him, but he still had the tools to beat you. You know what I mean? I think Floyd is a very, very complete welterweight, a very, very complete fighter. But but there's just tools
Very,
that
very.
Tommy that make it very, very difficult to deal with at welterweight. You know,
It
and
was
I think that
it was a difficult fight.
it's a hard
You're
guy to win
right.
rounds against. Very hard guy to win rounds against.
Who do you think, James? Who do you think would have been able to beat Floyd, from the past?
Maybe Ray Robinson
Yeah,
at 147.
yeah, yeah. You think that's
Uh,
about it?
it would be a good fight between him and Durant. I won't say Durant would win, but he would give him a great fight. Unless it's a well, all
Okay,
the fight.
Aaron Pryor would have given him all he could handle.
Aaron Pryor, the Hawk,
Oof,
no doubt,
what a! I
no
mean,
doubt.
I feel like
Never
he.
in a bad fight. But remember,
Trust
guys, here's the thing. Aaron Pryor was a fan-friendly fighter, right? So much fun to watch. But you guys have to understand, the love affair we have with exciting fighters doesn't necessarily make them effective against all styles. Floyd wasn't the most fan-friendly fighter, but he was the most effective fighter. So a lot of times people are so in love with their fan-friendly fighters that they say, oh, he would have beat this guy, he would have beat this guy. A lot of times you got to understand a guy is so fan-friendly because he has enough flaws to be that fan-friendly, you know? It doesn't mean he's not a good fighter. Sometimes they're great fighters that are fan-friendly, but still, the flaws are the flaws. Look at Pacquiao. Pacquiao was so fan-friendly. He couldn't. He looked like he was out of his league against Mayweather. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, he was.
And so on and so forth. It's just effectiveness. Even Vladimir Klitschko. I say this about Vladimir Klitschko. He was not fan friendly at all, but he was very, very effective. Effectiveness and excitement, excitement capacity.
Hold on.
Go together.
Hold on. Back this shit right there.
Go ahead, James.
Both Klitschko sisters were effective against bums. I didn't real fighters. You see, they dug me for 8 years. It was in the story, and everybody know why I did the Vladimir in the gym.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think going back to about Aaron Pryor, I think you're right with most people, but Aaron Pryor was able to put the car in a gear that most fighters couldn't put their car in. And I don't know.
Because at that time they had the bottle Panama Lewis mix, though. You know,
Give me a bottle. Give me a bottle. What got mix?
But in the rematch, they didn't have a bottle. He beat him even worse.
Yeah. Well, how do you know he didn't have a bottle? Maybe just this time I was insane he didn't have the bottle.
Good point.
Yeah. How many times should he get caught on camera?
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
Hey,
Yeah.
fellas. Oh, shit.
What?
My phone must die. My phone must die.
I'll let you guys go too, man.
Yeah,
I'll let you guys go too. Otherwise, my girl's gonna kill me. Look, he's waiting for me to finish.
All right, don't get mad. Let's
I'll see you later.
after the Wilder fight, let's talk again.
All right, for sure, man. For sure. I'll catch you later.